Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Andrei Shevchenko, and on behalf of the Mediacentru Ukraine team, I'd like to greet all of the journalists who tell to the world the story of our fight for freedom. And here today we have Volodymyr Kaskiv, Deputy Director of Scientific Work of DerzhdorNDI. This is the State Road Research Institute, and we're going to talk about the Kerch Bridge. Mr. Kaskiv, when you saw the first ever photos and videos from the damaged Kerch Bridge, what was your reaction as an expert? So I saw that first of all, I'd like to say that the damage is considerable. The thing is that the construction of the bridge, we have the steel and concrete parts of the bridge, and even though you saw the blast, only two spans were damaged because the structure is temperature resilient, but we also saw the additional damage when one of the spans collapsed. But unfortunately, the desired effect of course, wasn't let's say achieved, or I don't know how to say that, as a result of the blast, because the parallel girders were not damaged, and the traffic could be continued. What are your versions of what could have happened from the engineering point of view? The version is that, basically what the media showed, what the videos showed, this is only what we could saw were the things that were shared via the Telegram channel. So there was a massive explosion, a blast, and as a result, some structures were damaged, and as a result of the blast, the spans were pulled off the bearings, and something collapsed. So that's what we could see, basically. What could you say about the construction of the Kerch Bridge? What are the benefits? What are the weaknesses and vulnerabilities? As you could see, it's quite resilient. The bearings and supports are massive, and if we'd like to make some predictions on how quickly it's possible to renew everything and how a deeper inspection is required, because currently we can only judge based on photos. Let's say, for example, but basically for objects and constructions large enough like this, they probably already have manufactured materials or slabs for repairment. So depending on the political willingness and the goals, if they'd like to renew this quickly, just as a political goal, and to achieve their political goals, we think that it's possible to do that fast enough. Of course, the bearings and the supports should be inspected, but the construction, for example, if I'm not mistaken, that's about 11.5 by 3 and 4 meters, so that's a massive bearing support structure. And judging from the photos that we saw, at first glance, they weren't truly damaged or collapsed, even though based on our experience of expecting our own bridges, they look similar enough, but every bridge is a very individual construction and should be judged separately. So more things could be said only after personal inspection or getting some results of these inspections. Without that saying, and to see the real scope of damage. When you say that it's possible to renew that fast enough, how fast is that? Well, the thing is that if they already have pre-manufactured, say, slabs or spans, and there could be a technical goal and a political goal as well. So ideally would be to have the inspection of above the water and underwater parts, because we do not know how the blast impacted the supports actually, because if you have a look over the span, because we also had the girders and spans deformations, so there could be some horizontal deformations as well. So depending on how many technical staff and personnel could be involved, and the weather conditions, because if there are some pre-manufactured repairing assets that could be brought fast enough, and the other absolutely other thing is when it should be brought from far, and I already mentioned the political goal. If you want to show an image of a fast repairment, it could be so that the construction is just, so to say, cosmetic facelift repairment, cosmetic facelift repairment thing, and just to show to the media that we've repaired the bridge. But if it's an actual, real, very serious repairment to renew all of the previous traffic possibility, both for the trucks and hardwares, then it would require more time, of course. And here we have the range of fluctuations, because a very fast cosmetic facelift just for the cars, personal cars, would be under 3 months, and up to the new year, then the bridge could be open to the traffic like cars. But if it's a serious repairment and for the heavier traffic, then I think more time is needed. As an expert, what could you say about the Kerch bridge? Maybe you had the possibility to have a close look at the pre-damaged construction, a very large-scale project, a long bridge. We understand and realize its political impact. What could you share about this as an engineering constructor? Well, um, even before, we had lots of discussions about how impossible that is, considering the hydrology and the landscape and everything. So, and the financial issues are always also a consideration, and the end point that didn't allow to build that bridge before, and also how feasible and beneficial that is. So that's a very unique construction that took lots of work, reliable and resilient. How the well, unfortunately, the this incident showed, and different kinds of construction designs were implemented and developed. About 16 steel supports, so in every point. So as every bridge, that's a very unique construction. Can you see any weaknesses and vulnerabilities? Well, we haven't analyzed that from this standpoint, honestly, but as this incident has shown us, well, there are some weaknesses and vulnerabilities there as well, and we need to explain exploit them in order to bring fast forward our victory. This was Volodymyr Kaskiv, Deputy Director of Scientific Work of DerzhdorNDI. Thank you for today's discussion. Thank you. And our next briefing will happen at 12 with Alexander Klepin from Lviv Oblast Military Administration and Serhiy Orlov, Deputy Minister of Justice.